students, welcome to Study of Science. So in today's session, we are moving ahead to understand the next concept of the lesson, reproduction in animals. So today, we are going to discuss about the fertilization. So in the previous session, I had explained you male as well as the female reproductive parts. We have understood the parts of male reproductive organ as well as the female reproductive organ. We also understood the functions of both male as well as the female reproductive organ. Correct? So now let us understand the next concept, that is fertilization. When I talk about fertilization, the fertilization is broadly classified into two types. There are two modes of fertilization. Fertilization is classified into two categories. The first mode or the first category is the internal fertilization. The first mode is the internal fertilization, whereas the second mode is the external fertilization. We will understand internal as well as external fertilization in detail. First, now let us understand what is fertilization. How can we define a fertilization? See, the fertilization is a process. It is a process of the fusion of male gametes with the female gametes. I repeat, fertilization is a process of fusion. Fusion means combining. It is the fusion of male gamete with the female gamete to form a zygote. What has been formed here? As a result of fusion of male gamete with the female gamete, a zygote is formed. Then, what is a zygote? See, zygote is actually a fertilized egg. Zygote is called as a fertilized egg. Then, what is meant by fertilized egg? That means a new cell which is formed. A new cell which is formed because of the fusion of male as well as the female gametes. As I told you, the fertilization takes place because of the fusion of male and female gametes, and as a result of this fusion of male and female gamete, a new cell is formed, and that new cell is called as zygote, and we call that zygote as the fertilized egg. A zygote is called as the fertilized egg. Do you remember in the previous class I have told you what are gametes? Gametes are called as the sex cells. Correct? Gametes are called as sex cells. When I say male gamete, that means it is a sperm. Whereas when I say female gamete, that means the egg. So here the male gamete, that means the sperm, it fuses with the female gamete, that is called as egg. The male gamete sperm fuses with the female gamete egg. As a result of this, the fertilization takes place. How can we define fertilization? Fertilization is a process. It is a process of the fusion of male gametes with the female gametes to form zygote. To form zygote. What is zygote? Zygote is a fertilized egg. Zygote is a fertilized egg. Clear? Fine. So now, as I told you that fertilization is having two modes. The fertilization has two modes. Why there are modes in fertilization? Do you know? It is because there are variety of animals. There are variety of animals found on the earth. There are variety of animals found on the earth, and their mode of fertilization is different, because few animals live on the land, few animals they live in the water, right? There are variety of animals. So because of the occurrence of variety of animals on the land, their mode of fertilization is different. Their mode of fertilization is different. So the fertilization is mainly classified into two categories. What were the two categories which I told? The first category is the internal fertilization, whereas the second category is external fertilization. So I will explain both internal as well as the external in detail. Before getting to know in detail, how can we say in simple? That means, how can we define internal fertilization in simple words? See, internal fertilization means the fertilization which takes inside the body. Clear? So, if the fertilization is taking place inside the body, we call such type of fertilization as internal fertilization. Then how can we say external fertilization in simple words? As the name suggests, it is external. External means outside. So, if the fertilization takes place outside the body, then we call such type of fertilization as external fertilization. Internal fertilization is inside the body. External fertilization is outside the body. Clear? What is fertilization? Fertilization is a fusion of male and female gametes. Correct? So now we have understood two modes of fertilization. Now let us understand these modes of fertilization in detail. So let us start understanding the first mode of fertilization, that is internal fertilization. Students, we can see the internal fertilization in the higher animals. We can see the internal fertilization in the higher animals like human, cows, dogs, cats, horses. There are many more. So we can see the internal fertilization in the higher animals. We, the human beings, are also considered as animals. So in these animals, in these higher level animals, the internal fertilization, it takes place inside the body of the female. Please note it. Fertilization takes place. Where does the fertilization takes place? It takes place inside the female body. As I told you, the fusion of male and female gamete takes place for the fertilization, and this fertilization happens inside the female body. Okay? And such type of fertilization is called as internal fertilization. What is internal fertilization? The fertilization which takes place inside the body of the female. It takes place inside the body of the female, and these kind of fertilization can be seen in the higher level organisms. Clear? Fine. Now let us understand the next type of or the next mode of fertilization, that is external fertilization. As I told you, external means outside. Okay? So we can see the external fertilization in the aquatic animals. We can see the external fertilization in the aquatic animals. Some of the examples for the aquatic animals like fishes, frogs, these are the best examples for the external fertilization. As the name says, it is external fertilization. What happens? The fertilization takes place outside the body of an organism. And here, what happens is the female organism. The female organism, it lays the eggs in the water. You know, right? The fertilization to happen, both the male gamete as well as the female gametes are important. It is necessary. If the fertilization has to take place, both we need male as well as a female gamete. But here in the aquatic organism, what happened here? We have observed that the eggs are being laid by the female organism in the water. Then what about the sperms? Let's understand. You also should know, children, whenever the female organisms lays eggs in the water, it lays more than hundreds of eggs. You have to know this. More than hundreds of eggs are being laid by the female organism. And these eggs which are laid by the female organism are not covered by the shell. So as the eggs are not covered by the shells, they do not have any kind of protective layer. They do not have any kind of the protective layer, and they are also delicate in nature. Then, how does these eggs get protection? If they do not have protection, it is not easy for the eggs to survive. Correct. Then how does these eggs get protection? You have to understand, students, the eggs are being covered by a layer of gel. The eggs, they are being covered by the layer of gel, and this jelly holds the eggs together and provides the protection to the egg. It provides the protection to the egg. Even though the eggs are not having the shell, but there is presence of a jelly coat. There is presence of a jelly coat. And this jelly coat, they holds the egg. They holds the eggs and they provide protection to the egg. Clear? So now you all have got an idea that eggs are laid in the water. And those eggs are being laid by the female organism. Correct? So now, for these eggs to get fertilized, we need a male gamete. What is a male gamete called? Male gamete is called as sperm. We call male gamete as sperm. As already now, the eggs are being laid in the water. These eggs need sperm to get fertilized. Correct? So, the eggs, if it has to get fertilized, then it needs the male gametes called as sperms. So then, how do these eggs get the male gametes? You have to understand, see, these male gametes are being released by, it is being released by the male organism. So in the water, what happened is, the male organism, they come close to the eggs. Where these female organisms lays eggs, so to that region, the male organisms comes and they come close towards the egg and they deposit the sperms over the eggs. The male organism, they deposit the sperms over the eggs, sometimes nearby. Okay, when it is not possible to deposit the sperms over, then it will deposit the sperms nearby. Students, in the previous class, I have explained you the structure of sperm. How do sperms appear? Do you have any idea? Do you remember? The sperms appear with the long tail and head at the anterior region. It has a head and tail. Correct? So, sperms, they swim randomly in the water with the help of long tail. Understand? The sperm is having the long tail. So, with the help of the long tail, the sperm, it swims and come close in contact with egg. As I told you, sometimes what happens? The sperms are being deposited over the egg by the male organisms when it is not possible. When it is not possible to deposit over the egg, then it will lay the sperms nearby. Okay? So, the sperms which are being laid nearby the eggs, they swim randomly. They swim randomly in the water and they come close in contact with the egg. What happened now? There was egg. There was already egg which is been released by the female organism in the water. Now, what happened? The sperms came in contact with these eggs. What exactly happened? What have you observed here? The fusion of male and female gamete is taking place. The fusion of male and female gamete is taking place. As a result of this, what has been happened? As a result of this, fertilization is taking place. We know what is fertilization, right? Fertilization is the fusion of male and female gametes. So what exactly happened here? There was egg. There was egg which has been laid by the female organism and later sperms came in contact with them. So as a result of this, fertilization takes place. Correct? What is fertilization? You know, right? Fertilization is a process. It is a process of fusion of male as well as the female gamete. Right? So, we have also learnt about the modes of fertilization, that is the internal fertilization as well as the external fertilization. What is internal fertilization? In simple words, we can say the fertilization takes inside the body of the female organism. Correct? So what is external fertilization? The fertilization which takes place outside the body of the organism. Correct? And we can see the external fertilization in the aquatic animals. We can see the external fertilization in the aquatic animals. What are the aquatic animals? Some of the examples are the frog, fishes, and the fishes there are variety of fishes. Correct? So these fishes, they undergo external fertilization. They undergo external fertilization. Clear? Understood, right? Okay. So here is a question. Do you have any idea that why do fishes and frogs they lay the eggs in hundreds? As I told you that the aquatic organisms lay eggs in the water. When they lay eggs in the water, they do not lay one or two eggs. Instead, they lay hundreds of eggs. Do you know what is the reason behind this? It is because not all the eggs which are being laid, not all the eggs which are being laid by the female organisms fertilize, because as the eggs are exposed, they are exposed to water, wind as well as rainfall, the eggs get damaged. The eggs get damaged. Similarly, the sperms also. The sperms which are being released by the male organisms are millions in number. But not all the eggs or not all the sperms undergo fertilization. It is because they are exposed. They are exposed to the water, wind as well as rainfall. Sometimes there are so many other organisms which are found in the water. They feed on the eggs. So that is the reason the production of large number of eggs and sperms, it is necessary to ensure the fertilization of at least few number, because not all the sperms, not all the eggs are undergoing fertilization. The reason is because they are being exposed to water, wind and rainfall. Correct? Sometimes it is also being fed by some of the animals found in the water. That is the reason that the production of large number of eggs, that is more number of eggs and sperms is necessary. Out of these eggs and sperms, few will get fertilized. Only few will get fertilized. Not all the sperms or not all the eggs undergo fertilization because of the problems. Okay? Clear? So now in this session we have understood what is fertilization and the modes of fertilization very clearly. And you also have understood what is the reason that the aquatic animals lay more number of eggs and sperms. Clear? I hope I made this concept very clear to understand. If you like this video, you can share with your friends, and if you have not subscribed to my channel till now, kindly subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell notification. And that's all for this session. I'm signing off. Thank you.